Matt McCarthy, 98.5 The Sports Hub, joining me here to talk Sox. He's got his hat on. He is ready for the second half. And before we dive into the second half of the season, Matt, how about those last 10 games and they're making you believe again?
Yeah, I'm ready to hurt again, Sam. I mean, I'm in. How can you not be in? I mean, 10-game winning streaks in baseball don't grow on trees. So it's one thing to say that the competition was weak as part of the 10-game winning streak, and it was. Colorado shouldn't be in the big leagues. Washington looked awful. They fired everybody after that Red Sox series. But it was the Tampa Bay series that to me changed my mind on just about everything. I mean, the way they won the games in that series, comeback wins, walk-off home runs, Garrett Crochet, complete game shutouts, like that was winning baseball. And you look at the thing as the whole, then you say, well, they won 10 games. I mean, it really doesn't matter if you win 10 in a row, who you're playing or not, because again, 10-game winning streaks just don't happen all that often in baseball. That's not an accident. That's not a fluke. 6 games against questionable competition, no doubt about it. 10 games specifically with the final four against a team you're directly competing with, both in the American League East and in the wild card race. How can you not buy in and how can you not believe in the way they're playing right now? I think it's pretty obvious. They are a legit contender for playoff spots in the American League.
Absolutely. And like you said, this past series against the Rays, it showed us a lot, right? They weren't making many errors. They were pitching well and they were hitting well and they were taking advantage of bad baseball in those prior two series. Does this All-Star break come at a tough time, or does it allow them to rest a little bit? Where are your thoughts on this whole momentum thing?
It's awful. It's awful timing. I mean, I wish the Red Sox were playing a doubleheader today. The fact that they're going to sit around for 4 days because the baseball All-Star break is now 4 days is terrible timing for this team. Not to mention too, the competition when they come back from the break is no joke. The Cubs, the Phillies, the Dodgers, that is a National League gauntlet. The National League is significantly better than the American League. So yeah, I mean the timing isn't good. I mean baseball is a momentum sport, and you see it every October. With the new playoff format, it seems like the teams that continuously play have better performances in October because the teams that sit around for a week and wait for the 3 through 6 seeds, to ultimately finish those series, we've seen pretty consistently in recent years that hurts teams that sit around. Now, the good news for the Red Sox is the Cubs are sitting around too. Everybody else is sitting around, so you hope they can pick right up where they left off. It's just hard to see that really happening because baseball is such a momentum sport. You play every day, so every one game carries into the next. It's the one time of year where it really doesn't, and you hope that it doesn't hurt the Red Sox. But I think you should be a little bit cautious as a Red Sox fan coming out of the break because undeniably this is going to hurt their momentum in some way, shape, or form.
And it's also tough too because, like you said, the teams they're playing. You got the Cubs, the Dodgers, and Phillies. I believe in that order coming straight out of the break. Three very good teams, different than the Rockies, different than the Nationals, and different than the Rays. Where do you stand with roster right now in terms of what they might need adding at the deadline? I mean, now you got to add.
Yeah, you have to add. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. And what they need is a number two starter. They need somebody who can slide in behind Crochet in the rotation, take some pressure off of Crochet, who has proven that he's a stud. He is everything you could have possibly wanted and more coming over from the White Sox. That deal was not an automatic. It was a deal they probably would not have made before, with the previous regime. They also gave him a $180 million contract extension. But here's a guy who's barely pitched, Sam. I mean, he's less than 20 innings away from his career high. So they're going to have to manage him in the second half here. He had an extra day's rest against Tampa Bay this past weekend, and that showed. He was electric in that start. So the way to best manage Garrett Crochet is to give him some help. They need a number two starter. If they get a number two starter, a rotation of Crochet, number two starter X, whoever that may be. Joe Ryan is probably the preferred target for most Red Sox fans, including me. So let's just, for the sake of discussion, say it's Garrett Crochet, Joe Ryan from the Twins, Brian Bayo, and Lucas Giolito. That's a good enough pitching staff to contend for a pennant. Like, I don't think that's an overstatement. It's number two starter or bust for the Red Sox at this deadline. Anything less than that is a disappointment and a failure in that sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. In terms of other positions, what would you see? What would you like to see them add? Would it be first base? Would it be depth somewhere? And do you think that they will trade a guy like Jaron Durant?
So bullpen depth is always needed if you're a contending team. Every single team in the history of baseball who's ever tried to win anything needs bullpen help. So that's an automatic. The one other position I'd look at would be first base. Romy Gonzalez has been a revelation against lefties. Abraham Toro's been really good, but his numbers over the last 15 to 20 games have been slipping a little bit. He's a journeyman type player, so a little bit more depth at first base would not be the worst thing in the world for the Red Sox. But I think you hit on the most important point. What happens to Jaron Duran at this deadline? They have a logjam in the outfield. They have too many left-handed hitters. Duran ultimately, and I know a lot of Red Sox fans would probably disagree with this, but if you look at it critically, Duran is not really a part of the Red Sox future, even though he is still only 28 years old. He has 3+ years of team control left. But Cedar Rafael has come on. He is undeniably the center fielder of the future. Abreu is a gold glove right fielder, and Roman Anthony is your left fielder of the future. Where does that put Jaron Duran? The answer is probably not on the Red Sox. So if they can find a way to trade Duran for something that helps them this year, not in years to come, not prospects, nothing like that. If you can trade Jaron Duran and get pitching help, you might be cooking with gas at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, hey, trading someone that you may not use to their full potential, you could also help Jaron down the line on another team, getting the most out of his production in a team that may need him while you're getting a starting pitcher. I mean, this could be a great deal if they decide to go through with it or if they decide to do it with Minnesota. Any other names that are popping up in terms of additions, trades that have caught your eye? Not necessarily pitchers, but any other names?
So I think there are two teams to look at here. Arizona is definitely selling. They have Merrill Kelly, who's in his 30s, is going to be a free agent, but has been a big game pitcher for them. He was a big part of what they did in 2023 when they went to the World Series. The Diamondbacks are going to be selling. Zach Gallen was a Cy Young quality pitcher 2 years ago. He pitches there. He's not had a great year, but there's a lot of upside with a pitcher like Gallen. Arizona's the type of team that is probably going to look at a guy like Jaron Duran and say, this guy can be a big part of our future moving forward. Arizona undeniably is a trade partner for the Red Sox. And I'm not sure if Texas is going to deal him, but Nate Eovaldi makes a ton of sense for the Red Sox. He's been here, he's done that. He's a big game pitcher. He would take a lot of pressure off of Garrett Crochet. He's the perfect number 2 starter for a team with playoff aspirations. He's a guy you want to give the ball to in October. Texas, I believe, at last check, is about 4 games out of the third wild card spot. They're a team that thought they were going to contend. It's why they signed Eovaldi in the first place. I'd really look and see if Texas falls out of it over the course of the next 2 weeks because Nate Eovaldi is the perfect type of pitcher that the Red Sox would want and need. So those are two names that I really look at. Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen a little bit with Arizona, but also Texas with Nate Eovaldi. Those are the names to look out for.
For sure. And let's talk about the bullpen a little bit here before we sign off. Our oldest Chapman. I mean, what a great year he has had. I don't think a lot of people expected it to be this dominant because he's had his ups and downs, right? He's been a little inconsistent when he was a closer before with other teams. You add a couple guys in the bullpen too. Maybe you can get a couple other guys and say you did make the Joe Ryan trade. Maybe you
Mhm.
get another reliever from Minnesota to couple that with Chapman with a couple other guys. Now you're talking about a really elite bullpen.
So yeah, you again, you always need bullpen help, right? I'll be curious to see if the Red Sox try to move Tanner Houck to the bullpen, especially given their depth in the starting rotation. If they go out and do what they're supposed to do and what they need to do and add a legitimate number 2 starter, theoretically, there's not much room for Houck in the rotation. He has struggled in Worcester. I know they say he had an injury. I think most of us can look at it critically and say he's in Worcester with a strained ERA. They're trying to rebuild him. Can they bring him back as a bullpen arm and turn him into a weapon out of the bullpen? Because Houck has been so up and down in his career. Really, even entering last year, there are a lot of questions as to whether he was a high profile bullpen arm or if he could be a starting pitcher. And he was an all-star last year as a starting pitcher and has never been the same really since Shohei Ohtani took him deep in the all-star game last year. It would be in the Red Sox best interest to try to bring him back as a high leverage bullpen arm. And if they get him fixed And that's a big if at this point. That would be a huge boost to them because Chapman has anchored the whole thing. People keep asking Sam, what's the difference between last year and this year? The Red Sox have the same number of wins at the All-Star break as they did last year, and they completely and totally collapsed after the break. The difference is the pitching. They have an ace this year. Garrett Crochet greater than Tanner Houck. I think we would all agree about that. And Aroldis Chapman has been better than Kenley Jansen was for the Sox last year. And the Red Sox bullpen collapsed, completely collapsed after the All-Star break. They're not showing signs of that right now. You always need bullpen help, and I anticipate that they will add some type of bullpen help, whether it's internally or externally, but they're in better shape than they've been in recent years out there. Things have come together a little bit for them. It's not perfect. It's not the 1990 Cincinnati Reds, all right? I mean, it's not the best bullpen in history, but it's okay, and they can maybe get by with it. It is not a glaring need, but it is always a need for any contender, period, end of story.
Absolutely. And you said it right last year at this time, at the All-Star break, they had 53 wins. It feels
Mhm.
different this year, doesn't it?
It is different. Yeah, it's the way they're playing right now, and maybe it's fool's gold without Rafael Devers, but admittedly, they've been better without Rafael Devers. I do think, there was the dark cloud of the Devers thing hanging over this team going back to spring training. Now, how much of a dark cloud was it? And eventually, do you miss 40 home run power in the middle of your lineup? Yes. But, the offense doesn't have the ceiling that last year's offense had because Rafael Devers was on that team and now he's not. But the pitching staff has a higher ceiling. And that's how you win in baseball. I mean, give me a pitching staff 10 days out of 10, and they're only 7 days of the week. So, yeah, I mean, I'll take the extra three and give me the pitchers any day of the week on that. You always need pitching, and the Red Sox just have better pitching this year than they did last year.
Bottom line, and that's what Alex Cora said: pitch, pitch, and pitch, right? And that's just the name of the game. Matt McCarthy, as always, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Hopefully, the Sox can keep up this streak of theirs.
Always a pleasure to be on with you, Sam.